welcome onto stage our next speaker, Ros English.
Go Ros!
Well, 35 years ago, on the 8th of January 1989, my life was shattered, changed forever. Just, can you even imagine how hard it was? Just think about it yourselves. How hard is it I had to tell my 3 children that they'd lost their father, that their life would never ever be the same. We wouldn't have this lovely, wonderful life that we'd all worked on and built together. I didn't know how I was going to get through every day, how I could deal with the gut-wrenching sadness that goes with such a sudden, traumatic, unexpected death. I didn't know how I was going to cope with this, and so I decided I would have to find something called courage. Now, courage, I feel, I describe it as a force, and a force that moves you from this place to this place when you use your courage. So I invented this little imaginary bucket. It's a little bucket over here. It's not real, but the courage inside it is very real. And I relied on that courage bucket for a very long time. I'd had significant losses. I'd lost five losses in 2 years as a result of deaths. And you know what? I ended up on the Christmas list of the funeral home. How's that? No, I thought it was unusual. So, moving along, courage I found was, I describe it, as I say, as a force, and I found it difficult when your state of mind is compromised, significantly compromised, and you're vulnerable, and you end up stuck in this vulnerable state that, heavens, you couldn't call it a comfort zone, but I guess that's what we know it as. It's a comfort zone. So you've got to get yourself out of this comfort zone so you can move forward in your life. So in order to do that, people have, they go to grief counselling. There's all sorts of reading and research around to help you try and find where your next move is going to be. I had some grief counselling. I must have been too early for me because the grief counsellor and I both agreed it wasn't the right time and we didn't do it very well. There's one of the things that there's lots of literature, as you would expect, and one of the most well-known books, I think, is called Coping with Grief, written by David McKissick and his wife. I think it's in its 5th edition, so it's quite a popular book. And it deals with what happens when there's a death. And it also deals with how to process all the things that go with a death and the grief that follows. And I've since discovered a book which I wish had been written at the time that this was happening to me. It's called Bounce Forward, written by a gentleman called Sam Cawthorne from the Speakers Institute. And it's absolutely a wonderful book to be used if you are in the situation where you need to move forward. And that's what we had to do. My daughters and I had to move forward. There's a massive big hole in our life, but there was nowhere. And Sam and his book talk about bouncing back. Well, you can't bounce back, and that's why he says you have to bounce forward. There's nothing to go back to. And the thing is, you've still got your future. Your existing, your past, because you have all your memories and things, but you lose your future, and that's where things really get tough. And I know about all this. I've been there and done all that. I had the unfortunate experience of finding my husband dead at 44, 1:30 in the morning. He'd been affected by an electrical accident. He was electrocuted, and he'd actually been dead for 6 or 7 hours by the time I found him. So picture this, if you will. He's fallen off the ladder, been thrown off the ladder, dead instantly, landed in an awkward position beside a fence. It wasn't pretty. We had the police, the detectives, SES, and ambulance and the neighbours and all their dogs and everything at that hour of the morning. It was just horrendous, and it's probably the most traumatic thing I've ever done in my life, had to deal with. When the sun came up, all this was happening through the night. When the sun came up, a detective appeared on my doorstep and said, after the interview, we had all that, he says, oh, in true TV style, you know, he says to me, oh, don't leave town, you were the last person to see your husband alive. Well, that made me feel wonderful, I can tell you. So I ended up, there are, from all of this, you can see that I've survived, and there are 3 things I want to leave you with today. My book, called The Widow's Courage, Reinvent Yourself. I went and did an MBA. Took me 4 years, but there I was. Newcastle University, 4 years later, getting my MBA, ready to attack the world. And the third thing, I'm remarried, and a wonderful man who loves me to pieces, and I do him, and there is life beyond all this.
Oh my God! Can I have a hug? Oh, you're beautiful. You are beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You know something? You're alive for a reason and a purpose. You are. You know, many of us, you know, we've all dealt with loss in our own ways. I've actually lost my best friend and my younger brother.
Oh God.
And looking at his journey and mine, I sort of think that I'm still alive today for a reason and a purpose. Yeah, there's still something on my life that I need to do before I kick the bucket. I think there's still something for you to do before you kick the bucket, Rosalind. I do. And you know something? Maybe today was the birth of it. You know, I can't wait when other people jump up on stage and talk about the book that they've read of yours. Come on.
I had to throw it.
Come on. Yes. I seriously, I can't wait for that moment.
Yeah.
Because this is now the legacy piece that you're leaving behind. And you know, look, there's this one lady that I've been working with, and her name is Patsy Tremaine. And she was sort of semi-retired, and she said, Sam, I'm going to spend my kids' inheritance and I want to do your program, right? That's what she said. But the funniest thing is, 12 months into that, she was actually on stage in Hawaii on a panel, just sharing her life experience and her story. I do believe that there is a reason and a purpose why you chose to get up here on this stage and share part of your story with us, and thank you for that. But it's now time for you to actually share that with more people before you kick the bucket, girl. You've got this. Let's give her a hand!